Hey everyone, hope you're having a great week or had a great week. It's Friday and we're ready for the weekend. We got Labor Day coming up. This is great. I wanted to jump on here and cover some notable news updates from the week of August 31st, and we'll get going right away here. But there was a slew of announcements made regarding child trafficking rescues and arrests over the past few days that didn't get a lot of coverage in the mainstream media, but people all over social media were focusing on it and bringing attention to it, which is really good to see. But the silence from corporate media is a little bit bizarre, to say the least, especially given the magnitude of the these operations. But Operation Safety Net in Ohio rescued 25 children. Operation Not Forgotten in Georgia rescued 39 children. Operation Screen Capture in New Jersey arrested 21 pedophiles. And then we had here in North Carolina, over the course of a couple months, dating back to March, we had 8 children rescued and 23 arrests made. So that is awesome to see. It just underscores this administration and this DOJ's focus on ending child trafficking and going after the perpetrators and the networks that facilitate child pornography and child trafficking. Unlike anything we've seen from past administrations, this administration is making it a focus, and it is a breath of fresh air and awesome to see. Moving on, we have John Ratcliffe. He is our new Director of National Intelligence that oversees the 17 intelligence agencies. And he was just recently was nominated and put in the seat going back a couple months. Formerly, he was a congressman, one of the most conservative congressmen. He is on team, to say the least. And he is he's loyal to the president, loyal to the president's America First agenda, loyal to the people. So we couldn't ask for a better DNI in the seat right now. John Ratcliffe is a good man. But he's been in the news recently for halting election briefings for the time being, switching up the way they do it, because there's been a lot of congressmen who've been leaking classified information directly after these briefings to the media in order to push a political agenda revolving around Russia being a huge national security threat. So what Ratcliffe is going to start doing is, instead of giving these briefings orally to Congress, he's going to start putting them in writing. So therefore, the content, the information can't be misconstrued and manipulated and then released out to the press for them to spin a story in order to damage the president and damage the integrity of the information and kind of twist it to their liking. Obviously, Dems are in an uproar about this, but it is what it is, and it's a wise thing to do if you want to maintain informational and operational integrity here. But Ratcliffe said, within minutes of one of those briefings ending, a number of members of Congress went to a number of different outlets and leaked classified information for political purposes to create a narrative that simply isn't true, that somehow Russia is a greater national security threat than China. So the media, the Dems, they want to take the focus off China, which is the real threat, and put it on Russia, which is a minor threat, and kind of revisit and have the whole Russia-Trump collusion narrative resurface as we get closer to the election. And, Schiff is taking this information, Adam Schiff is taking this information, and he is now using it to say that Russia and Trump are the ones responsible for inflaming unrests and responsible for the riots, in so many words. And so they're trying to twist this narrative in order to put it back on Trump, that they're the ones that are responsible. They finally, the Dems and the media, or the Democrat leaders, that is, finally came out denouncing the violence denouncing the looting that's been going on across America in select cities. But they only came out and said that after their poll numbers took a hit and after seeing Trump make a massive bump, they finally decided, okay, maybe we should come out and denounce all the violence. But only after the polls showed that it was detrimental to them. So the timing is very revealing, and we've seen Joe Biden come out and say Russia or Trump is subservient to Russia. Adam Schiff and other congressmen on the left have come out to start kind of, painting a picture and trying to have this narrative, become national news again. So something to keep an eye on. And then back to DNI Ratcliffe. He is working with John Durham, U.S. Attorney General John Durham, to declassify more documents very soon in relation to his investigation of the origins of the Trump-Russia collusion narrative that we found were based on false claims and based on a lie, essentially. But that lie was the predicate for the whole Russia collusion investigation that Robert Mueller, was undertaking for a year's time. So they're going to the origins of it because, it was all a farce essentially, but Ratcliffe and John Durham are now collaborating, and he's going to be declassifying documents very soon related to the origins of the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. So we will keep an eye on that as well. Hopefully we see some big booms coming our way in terms of some of these declassified documents. And next we have the Kenosha riot aftermath and everything going on with the Kyle Rittenhouse incident and the developments since then. But as we know, the Kenosha riots were spawned from the shooting of Jacob Blake. He was a man who was shot in the back 7 times. I think he's paralyzed from the waist down. And, the police officer used excessive force on him. The police officer should be held accountable for what he did. But he was justified in using force given Blake had a knife in his hand. He was resisting arrest, and he had an arrest warrant out for 3 different charges on him. But that incident led to these protests that turned into riots in Kenosha. And as soon as the National Guard got there, a few days later, the riots stopped immediately. So that's notable as well. You bring in the military, the riots disappear. Lesson learned. But the Rittenhouse incident, the Media Democrat Alliance rushed to push a predetermined narrative without really seeing all the video evidence and considering the facts involved. It didn't matter to them. They were pushing this narrative that Rittenhouse was a white nationalist and he was there looking for a fight, looking for violence, and he was targeting peaceful protesters. That's the narrative that they want to run with, but it's contrary to actual evidence and facts that we're now beginning to see. The evidence showing that it was self-defense and there were no laws broken, he had the firearm legally, etc., etc. But Lynn Wood is a high-profile attorney, and he and a couple other high-profile conservative legal prowess are going to be representing Rittenhouse in the case. He has 6 charges against him, including murder. I think 2 charges of murder. But they're going to fight this tooth and nail. But it's funny, it's not really funny, it's sad that social media is censoring and removing evidence contrary to the media-sanctioned narrative. For instance, Lynn Wood, his account on Twitter was suspended temporarily for no reason. There's been video evidence of Rittenhouse helping out earlier in the day that conflicts with the idea that he was there looking for a fight. That was taken off a social media platform. Facebook declared that Kyle Rittenhouse actions were a mass murder, and they won't allow posts in support of Rittenhouse. So you see this kind of concerted effort from media giants in the press and social media, along with Democrat leaders trying to force this predetermined narrative on the public, which we're finding is so far from the truth. And I think that once these charges are dropped, there will be a huge defamation suit that is awarded to Rittenhouse and Lynn Wood. I mean, he was taken off Twitter for no reason. So we will keep an eye on that as well. But it'll be interesting to track that as time goes on. And then lastly, we'll touch on the murder of a conservative Trump supporter in Portland. And the suspect, this guy Michael Reinhold, I think his name was, Reinhold, was a suspect in the fatal shooting of a conservative Trump supporter, Aaron Danielson, in Portland. We are finding that this guy, Aaron Danielson, was executed in cold blood. There was a scout team of multiple people that picked him out, targeted him. You could see from video evidence, and shot him dead in the street. The suspect, ironically enough, was released weeks before. He was arrested weeks before after an arrest in a previous riot. It was a gun-related incident, and he has a rap sheet before that too. He's been arrested a couple times, but the suspect was released just recently after being previously arrested. And we've heard about Democrat local leaders releasing these criminals from prisons and stuff under the guise of coronavirus concerns. It just doesn't make any sense. But this is just a case in point of the tragedy that can come from releasing criminals from jail. Why was this guy released in the first place? It doesn't make any sense. But we're seeing Democrat leaders from across the country go about it this way, releasing criminals, saying that we want to prevent an outbreak of the virus in the prisons. It really doesn't hold any water. I think that they just want to foment unrest and violence as we get closer to November. And an easy way to do that is put criminals out in the street. So we're seeing that across the board in a lot of Democrat-run cities. And this is just the poisonous fruit that can come from a decision like that. A new development, though, in the same case was this guy Michael, the murder suspect, went on Vice News yesterday, gave an exclusive interview to them, claiming it was self-defense that he killed this guy, Aaron, because Aaron was going to stab a friend of him who was black, and he was preventing that stabbing from occurring. So he had to kill this guy, Aaron Danielson, because of it. Interestingly enough, right after that interview, federal authorities went to arrest Michael Reinhold because he admitted to the murder in the interview. They went to arrest him, and Michael, the suspect, was killed in a shootout with federal authorities. So this is all brand new information. It looks like that he had a gun on his possession, and he fired back at the feds, and the feds shot him down right there. So unfortunately, we won't get any testimony from this guy, Michael Reinhold, but that's the latest information from that case, or that incident, was he was killed just a few hours ago by federal authorities. So that's all I got. So that's all I got today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. God bless you guys. Be safe. Happy Labor Day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.